Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Creative Businessmen. Today we have singer-songwriter Mickey Shiloh on with us, and she's coming in through Zoom from LA. Hey Mickey.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Great. Pleasure to have you on.
I am so excited to be here with you. Well, kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
In person, not really, but we're here.
Yeah. So do you want to tell everyone a little about yourself and what you do and go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, like you said, a singer-songwriter. I'm an entrepreneur. I always say that I'm a newly found entrepreneur, but it's always been in me. I started recording and writing music when I was 12, and I've been signed to multiple publishing deals. Thankfully, I'm a free agent now. The independent music scene is a lot cooler. I started my first official business about a year and a half ago. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. But I've been in the music business for, 15 plus years now, and it is shark-riddled waters, to say the least. So I'm really excited about this new journey that I'm on and just being a businesswoman more than anything and paving my own way. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's amazing. So when did you know you wanted to be a musician?
Oh, I knew I wanted to be a musician since as long as I could remember. My dad was an aspiring rapper. I say aspiring because, the rap group he was in didn't quite reach their full potential. But he was always around the house when I was a kid, just writing in his notebook, raps, and just he took me to studios when I was very young while he was, literally 16, 17 years old. My parents had me really young. So I just grew up with that background, and I always say that I got the music bug from him. I've never had another career passion. I was really blessed to have that passion from a really young age.
That's amazing. Now, did you grow up in LA?
No, so I'm from San Francisco area. I'm from San Mateo. It's really close to San Francisco. I moved to LA when I was 18. I got into USC, and also the producer that I was signed to was in Los Angeles. So my eyes were always set on Los Angeles. And I actually just moved back to the Bay Area. I was in LA for 10 years, which, it's a completely different world for sure. I wanted to be closer to, Silicon Valley, obviously just with tech, because my company now it's a music tech company. So it just made sense to move. I moved a month ago, literally. Everyone thinks I'm still in LA, which is hilarious. I haven't announced it. I actually have a stalker, so I don't tell people where I am.
Oh, that's cool. So,
Yeah, it's great.
What is your company?
So my company, it's Hard Drives, HRDRV. Sometimes people say HRDRV, which is definitely not what it is. I thought of the idea a year and a half ago. Literally, I was driving from LA to the Bay Area, and I was just thinking to myself, wow, I have so many resources as a musician. I have audio engineers, I have graphic artists, I have, literally anything you need. And I also have a lot of people in my DMs every day asking for help. And I'm like, how do I kill so many birds with one stone? Okay, create a website where you can sign up and order cover artwork, you can order mixing and mastering, you can order whatever you need. And so I went home when I got back to the Bay that night, after this long 5-hour drive of thinking about it. I made the website, harddrive.com, in 2 hours, and I had 10 artists sign up the first week. Wow. And now we're almost 1,200 members strong. And, it just keeps getting better and better. But yeah, it's weird. It's like that genius moment was so obvious. Like, why is there not a one-stop shop community label? You know, everyone wants to be signed to a label, a record label. So I kind of just put my own spin on it. And now we're here. And it's a subscription business, which is something I had been trying to come up with because subscriptions are just really the now and the future. Yeah. And I wanted passive income. I was really tired of working hand to mouth every month. Even though I've been making pretty good money for a few years now, like finally have been making six figures for a few years now, which is unheard of, honestly, as a songwriter, as like, you know, I call myself a C-level songwriter. I've had some major placements, but I'm not someone that is, you know, every day in the studios with major artists. That's not the lifestyle I wanted anymore. You know, it's a really, like I said, it's shark-infested waters. I wasn't happy doing that. So I figured it out after a lot of personal development, and that's what sparked it. You got to work on the growth mindset, 1,000%.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
That's incredible. I know Daniel and I have both talked about doing some type of monthly service or subscription service plan for people before, because that's, you know, any way that you can create that passive income or that residual income is a really good opportunity. I've seen you on some of your just live feeds, like producing music, like beats, and coming up with lyrics just off the cuff. It's really incredible how talented you are. I don't think people realize how difficult that is to do. Do you just sit there until you get inspiration and you just start coming up with new stuff, or?
Yeah, so this is how I know you're not a music person, because a lot of people ask me about my beat production. I'm like, guys, I don't make beats, but I do come up with lyrics on the fly and melodies, right?
Okay. So you're using
the
samples.
Beat part, I wish I could make beats. So people send me instrumentals. So the beats are already done. Thank God. I've tried to make tracks, guys. I've tried so hard. It just doesn't come together the way I want it to. That's a whole different skill set. It really is. But no, yes, I freestyle melodies and lyrics over the music production that's already provided. And I have, that's something that Hard Drive provides, actually, is a production library to our artists that they can come in and they can download the MP3s of these backing tracks, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I'll sit there and the melodies come to me. The melodies and the lyrics come to me like a freestyle when I'm listening to the track, and I record it as I'm coming up with whatever I'm coming up with. And most people can't do that only because they haven't spent the time to, one, learn to record themselves so that they could do it any spare moment they have. So when I started recording myself at 12, literally when I would get home from school, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be sitting down recording myself. So that's why I'm able now to freestyle a song from top to, you know, bottom, even with words sometimes in 1 minute. It's really crazy. It's like a lightning bolt going through your body, literally. And anyone can master that, though. I think anyone with the aspiration to become a master of something, you know, it's that 10,000 hours, that 20,000 hours. I calculated I've probably done about 40,000 hours of recording.
Wow.
Myself. So that's where I'm at with it.
That's awesome. So you just have like a creative stream of consciousness. Do you just get into like a flow state when you're doing that and it just starts pouring out?
Exactly. It's such a flow state. That's the perfect phrase. It is a flow state. I'm inspired by my own life, something that makes me different from, the masses, I guess, would be that I'm very brutally honest in my lyrics. If anyone knows my music, they know that I talk about my mental health struggles. I'm bipolar. That's something I talk about, I talk about my exes a lot, real stories. Every song that I've written and put out as a Mickey Shiloh song is an absolute 100% true story. Sometimes it's a mixture of stories, but there's always truth in what I'm writing. And a lot of mainstream music these days is just about cars, girls, all that. It's always been that way, but that's something that that makes me stand out is my vulnerability in my lyrics and writing. And yes, I get in that flow state and the truth just comes out. It comes out.
It's cool that you mentioned the mental health issue or aspect of it with the bipolar, because I often feel like a lot of entrepreneurs experience bipolar at some level, just because it seems like to be the type of person you need to be to take these risks, to get into these flow states, to have these big ideas. You kind of have to experience that manic state sometimes to really go out on the ledge, and take a chance. I often joke that I think I'm probably a little bipolar myself, but I just sort of stay in that higher manic state longer. And then when I come down, it's not like I don't go too far. I just sort of come back to a baseline, and I'll be normal for a while, and then I can get work back up to that inspirational state or whatever that is.
Yes. So it's amazing that you're able to naturally come back down to your baseline and have that awareness. See, someone like me, that at a time, I was diagnosed in 2013, I was 21 years old, I was in the music scene, immersed in that world, smoking weed, a lot of weed, and drinking. So, imagine that state, and you were doing that at the same time. It just really unraveled me completely, because with any type of stimulant, it affects your sleep, and that's one of the biggest issues with my type of bipolar is if you don't sleep, that really can reel you into a manic state immediately. Yeah. I didn't even know that bipolar ran in my family until after I was diagnosed. So in retrospect, it made me think wow, this is why I went through phases in my, teenage years, even of depression, when I didn't know what depression even was. Yeah. It really just put things into perspective. And I've even seen Elon Musk tweet about, his highest highs and his lowest lows. I'm like, President Lincoln was apparently bipolar. I'm telling you, the most amazing, world-changing people have some sort of ailment that ends up being a blessing in disguise. And that's not to say people without mental illness are not amazing, but yeah, it's a gift at the same time, for sure. It absolutely is. I'm very thankful, actually, for the experience.
Right, yeah. You just have to learn how to harness that power. Yeah. And also...
yep. Yeah.
It's all. You also ask the question, what is normal? Because, the spectrum is so broad,
The spectrum is so broad, to say the least. And I'm a mental health advocate, obviously. I am so open about this disorder, which I hate calling it a disorder. Like Kanye West said, what was the cover artwork on one of his recent albums? It was something like, I hate being bipolar, it's awesome, or something like that. I admire his candidness about it as well. And it's crazy because I can see when he's reeling, when he's just going on his Twitter rants and all of this, I can relate so well, because that was me as well when I was going through those manic times. I haven't had an episode in 3 years now, because I've been hospitalized 5 times in the past, 7 years. 5 times, 5 psych ward stays against my will, obviously. Thankfully, I have a very good support system, and my mom always makes sure that I get the care that I need immediately. But yeah, I'm just going back to the point that geniuses really do have that extra flair to them. We'll call it a mental flair.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you mentioned sleep, and sleep is really important for for your brain, for brain health, productivity. And I notice, because Daniel and I we're night people. We'll stay up, and I'm the kind of person I could just stay up all night working on stuff, because it seems like the later I stay up, the more creative I get, the more ideas I have. And I think that's probably that manic state sort of setting in. So I know when I need to shut it off. Like, it's okay. It's I have to be productive tomorrow, so I need to go to bed so I can get up and start over and let my brain heal.
That awareness is something that most people don't have. There's so many people that don't have that awareness. You're definitely bipolar. Not that I'm a doctor that can diagnose you right now, but you are for sure.
Probably
on some sort of part of the spectrum here. That's great, though, that you have the awareness to take care of yourself, though. I've stayed up for 6 days straight before, and it felt like my brain was going to literally explode. I remember calling. I was at one point really good friends with Wilmer Valderrama. He's an actor. And he was dating Demi Lovato at the time, who also is open about her bipolar disorder. And so I always felt very comfortable talking to him about what I was going through. And I called him one morning, actually. It had been days and nights mixed in one, obviously, after 6 days of being awake. And I had just left my ex's house, who I hadn't been with for 6-7 years. I went and saw him. We agreed to meet up at 5 a.m.
Wow.
And I went over there, and I was in complete shambles in a manic episode. He didn't know what was going on. He probably thought I was on drugs. I think he later told me he really thought I was on drugs. Anyways, I remember calling Wilmer when I was driving home because I could not read my GPS on my phone. It felt like the universe was against me. It felt like somebody was messing with the technology in my phone. And he helped me get home. And I'm like, there's so many, and all of this to say, there's so many people that don't have a support system with this. And that is what makes me want to be an advocate for it. I actually have a mental wealth club. That's what we call it. We do a call the last Monday of every month where we just talk about our mental health struggles, whether it's bipolar disorder, depression, or someone that's going through something. I just really want to build a community to support people to get through this, because it's not terminal. It's actually, you have some sort of a gift that is just masked as being something terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just keep going back to the support system that I've had, and I just feel very, very grateful and blessed for that.
Yeah.
Shout out Wilmer, shout out my mom, shout out my whole family that's really been there for me, and my friends, for sure.
Well, it's great that you're aware of it. And also, I think it would be terrible to be normal, personally.
I can't imagine. I agree. I can't imagine. I can't imagine waking up and going to a job. I've never had a job, and I don't say that from an ego place. I've been very broke before, and my mom was like, BITCH, I'm not supporting you anymore. You need to go work at Nordstrom's or Starbucks. Like, come on, get it together. But I found a solution right when that brink, that point hit, thank God. I was 23 at the time with platinum plaques on my wall, living. My mom was paying my rent still. As a creative, anyone that's listening to this will understand that lifestyle. But all of that to say, I don't know where I was going with it, but man, it's tough.
That's awesome.
It is tough.
Oh. Don't you feel that way sometimes?
Yeah, I live in extremes, I think.
Yeah.
And I think when I was younger, I'd say as a male, I think for me, I think men at 12, 13, I think the rush of testosterone and all this sort of stuff maybe pushed me into it faster. I don't know, maybe women changing hormone levels does the same thing. But I felt it there, and my life just I didn't feel normal till probably late 20s. I mean, 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there, between there and like 30. Yeah. My life I started being able to be more aware of where I was, more aware of who I am and how things affect me, and just being able to make better decisions and kind of process some of these things. But yeah, it was rocky, man. And I still to this day, I'm very much the same way. I live in extremes, and that's okay. I plan for it. I mean, I have these extremely productive, all in. I wait to the last second, and I just cram it. It's everybody's like, oh, you're procrastinating. I'm like, no, this is where I do my best work. When the pressure is on, when my back's against the wall, like I shine, and I put myself in that situation time and time and time again. And it's a running joke here. Like, I've always got so much to do. I'm always behind, but I like it. That's the life I prefer. And if I'm honest with myself, there were periods where I was losing everything, periods where I'd start over, and I didn't have things to do, and it drove me crazy. I literally was going crazy. And, sleeping 18 hours a day. And this is a period, I had never dealt with depression before ever in my life, and there was like a window. There's an 8-month window of shit that I went through. And the biggest part of that was this period where I had nothing to do, and my mind just drove me crazy. So I prefer it. I prefer to live my life that way, yeah.
I relate to that so much. I was just listening to you like, wow, that is a direct parallel to my life. I went through a 10-month depression in 2018, right before I was, nominated for Forbes 30 Under 30. I was in bed, like you said, like almost the entire day. The only reason I got up was to take my dog for a walk. That's the only reason I went outside, and I often say that, she saved my life. And to this day, I still talk about if I don't have something to do, I don't know what to do with myself, which is something I need to work on, clearly. Like, it's the weirdest feeling, and I'll instantly FaceTime someone because I don't, in a way, want to be alone with myself, even though I do love myself. I have great self-esteem. I'm dope. But I think that I just constantly want to be providing value to people, and that's just something that I have to do. It's a struggle in itself, right? But I don't know, when you just said that, it really resonated with me. I'm the same way. I'm a procrastinator, but it's not even procrastinating, it's by choice, because I know that this pressure is going to make the result even better.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, and I think our education system and these things are, we're taught that those are bad things, and that's not. I think that's a learning behavior, a learning style. It's a way that so if your real goal for people is to have the best outcome, then you have to be aware that some people need different set of circumstances to be successful. And the moment I figured out that I could ignore all those other things and just say, this is the best way for me to be successful, and, and kind of say, disregard, and I'm putting it politely, disregard the opinions of what I would joke at the time are lesser minds, but disregard those opinions about other people's thoughts about what's best for me, and me just being self-aware and looking at myself and going, this is the times in my life that I've been the best and the most successful are when I put myself in these situations. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to continue doing this. It works. And it does. It does. And so what I do is, my family's in Florida right now on a private beach. I drove them down there. I got them settled in. I helped get everything lined up. We did 3 days of activities. I spent 7 hours commuting, getting myself back. I've did all my meetings, everything I've got, and crammed it in the last 3 days, 4 days. I'm going to fly back this evening. Like, I just keep myself really, really, really busy. And, I want to be a superstar for my kids. And the good news for me is it's really easy to do because I've got a very small window that I get to see them and spend time with them. So even if I'm tired or whatever's going on, I'm a superstar during that window. I try to give some time to my wife so she feels it. And then I can just either crash, or I can, if I'm in one of those states where, this is just the week or the month that I'm just going to be super productive, I don't sleep, and that's typical for me. I'm up 3, 4. I was up till 4 o'clock this morning working. I don't have anybody at the house. I'm there by myself, so I just stayed busy.
Yeah. So, I was up till 4:45 this morning.
Yeah.
Against my will.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's if I don't, I don't want to take a chance and look at it, but I think if I stop moving, I'll self-destruct. That's kind of my thought process.
Yeah.
I agree. You said something that made me think of your subscription business, your next subscription business.
Hey, let me hear it.
Figuring out some sort of a program. No, like figuring out some sort of a program for people to develop or discover their success style, whether that be you are in the procrastination, category, or you like a lot of time to plan things. It doesn't have to be a subscription, but I just thought that's something that people aren't taught. Like you said, you're not taught that in school. You just have to learn it yourself. But some sort of a program that helps people discover their best way of learning and best way of executing would be absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
we'll start on it, Mickey. Let's have a call tomorrow. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
I own 99%.
Hey, I like it.
Yeah, I own 99%.
I like it. I like the way you think.
You guys get one.
We'll negotiate.
I'll tell you what our rule is, though. I'll tell you what our rule is. Our rule is, well, my rule, and I think Neil's rule too. But I always tell people I don't need the recognition; I need the reward. And I always say I'm fine with a piece, because if you get a little piece of a lot of things, I would much rather have that. Because if you own 100% of something, or very close to 100% of something, you also own it when it loses. Right? Like, everybody wants to own 100% of something. They loved owning Sears. They loved owning JCPenney. They would have loved to own any company, Singer, the sewing machines, right? You love any company, own 100% until things turn, right? And I believe in diversification. I think you should be, and when I say diversification, I don't mean necessarily across all types of businesses. I mean diversification across industries that I'm interested in. And maybe I own 10% of 1,000 locations versus 100% of 100.
Yeah.
And that's just our thing. But yeah,
you guys now own 99%.
Hey. Hey, and we're negotiators. That's what we do.
I'm good with 33%.
Yeah. How about 33? Yeah. Yeah. We'll throw Shazer a bone too.
I like it.
Yeah. Shazer needs a bone.
There we go. Yeah. So,
true. All right.
So Daniel's talking about the procrastination thing. I have a similar type of way that I deal with stuff too. Except, so I think of myself as more of an artist. So I'm more on the creative side of the spectrum. But even in business, I look at business from a creative perspective, like I'm creating something, But I can be very analytical or very open and creative and more ambiguous in my thoughts. So if I'm not doing analytical type business, then I have to be doing some creative work too, and I sort of half the time both ways. And if I don't have something to fill that time, that's when I get depressed. That's when I feel like I'm not being productive or I'm getting bored, and that
Right.
That, to me, that's like negative stress. I can handle lots of stress, but what I can't handle very well is when I'm not producing something. When I feel like I'm being useless with my time.
Yeah.
That's the only time I feel depressed. And I love spending time with my family, and I make time for my wife, my daughter, and that time I feel really happy and motivated, and that's a different thing. But when I'm not doing that, if I'm not doing something productive, I get really hard on myself and really depressed. And but then as soon as I start working on something that I feel happy again, I feel like I'm fulfilling my destiny or my purpose.
Yeah. Wow. We definitely all have that in common. It's interesting, just in the time of this pandemic, the amount of people, that were let go temporarily, at least from their jobs, and have a lot of time where maybe they are feeling useless, I'd be curious to see what, that demographic is going through right now too. I know that suicide rates shot up, which is really,
terrible.
Really, really sad. Right. But it's interesting though. I think all entrepreneurs have that in common, maybe, that they feel if they're not doing something, then they kind of get in that low state.
Yeah.
Do you think that entrepreneurialism is something that can be taught?
That's a good question. I've thought about that too. I think, it's one of those things. Is free will a real thing? Like, do we really control anything? Do we know what we're doing or why we do it? But I mean, I think, if someone has interest in it, yes, they could be taught. But I think you have to have the interest,
So I was going to interject real quick. You were talking about what happens with the suicide rate this year, and the World Health Organization, which, I have mixed reviews about them, but they state that prior to 2019 that close to 800,000 people a year die to suicide. And they're projecting that number this year to be 140%.
Wow.
So you're going to have 100, this is worldwide, but 800,000, and they're talking about 140% increase.
So 120,000 people?
So 120 extra thousand people this year.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Now, this is a dangerous conversation to have, but if all the shutdown saved lives, but it cost 120,000 people lives because of an increase in suicide, right? Like, you got to look at, so it's like, I start to get really weird about some of the solutions we provide, because even the solutions cause other problems.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Japan's a different civilization. They're very respectful, and in Japan, if you get sick, you wear a mask automatically.
Yeah.
So they're kind of, you've got millions of people stuck on an island together, so it's a different dynamic. But Japan, they didn't shut their economy down. Everyone just started wearing masks, and they've only had like 1,000 deaths.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is really amazing. Yeah, Americans, we're just more complicated, though.
Americans are definitely more complicated.
And we've got crazy politics and just lots of issues. So
I don't know.
But I think another thing too. Most Americans hate what they do. They hate they're very unhappy anyway. Like 85% or something.
Exactly.
So on the positive side of this, some of these people that are out of work, sometimes I say that big change creates big opportunity. And if you can handle that big change, if you can survive that big change, it may be a good thing. It may create an opportunity for you, may give you the time you need to figure out what you want to do or to reevaluate your life. I lost my leg in a motorcycle accident 7 years ago, and it was terrifying, because I almost died, and then I can't do anything, so I'm stuck in a bed at my house trying to figure out what's going to change in my life. And it was actually a really positive experience because I got to reevaluate my life and see what was important, how I needed to make changes and which direction I needed to go. And sometimes if you can not focus on the problem but focus on the solution, then you can find a lot of opportunity in that. And I missed my leg, but it was still a good experience.
I love how you nonchalantly, I lost my leg, and what's incredible is, again, your ability to, one, know that you might be manic and then come down to a baseline and not be hospitalized. That's an amazing skill. Second of all, I lost my leg and I turned it into a positive. What? I am absolutely floored right now. This is incredible.
Well, I think that's incredible. That's the entrepreneurial spirit, is problem solving, right? So
it's just the entrepreneurial spirit,
That's the problem that can be solved. If I died, I obviously couldn't solve that problem. You know what I mean? Or if I was paralyzed, maybe that would be a much more difficult problem to deal with. But for me, that's a fairly easy problem for me to solve.
Mickey, I got to tell you, I felt I was really conflicted, Mickey, at first, but I had to figure out a way to compete with him, and I just running him over just was the equalizer. And but
I
now
knew it.
it was me or it was the cow.
I'm done. That is hilarious.
Well, Daniel's more successful than me, so there's no competition there.
I'm just joking. I had to get a leg up on him somehow.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Oh my God.
These are terrible jokes. I'm sorry. We've been friends for a long time, so I don't know if I should be doing
terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if I should be doing this on this podcast, but I think it's hilarious. Sorry.
We have no boss. So.
That's true. That's true.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
That's funny.
Oh, guys.
So what?
Wow.
What projects are you working on now? Do you have any big projects that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm constantly juggling a million things, as I know you guys are too. I'm literally right now, I'm 3 days into a virtual songwriting camp that goes the whole month of September. So we got 27 days left. Our goal is to finish 100 songs. There's about 30 people, producers and songwriters involved in the camp. And so that's one project happening right now. And then number two is obviously hard drive actually is my number one priority, just expanding our services and features there to just give artists everything they need in one place. Like I said, cover artwork, visualizers, mixing, mastering, production, marketing. We just added videographers and photographer services so people wherever they are can start, hiring professionals, not their friend or their mom to take pictures for them. I'm serving the 99% with hard drive,
Nice.
So that's always a huge project happening. And then I also am an artist myself, so I'm releasing music. I released already maybe 7 albums this year.
Wow.
I have 5 other albums in the works to be released by, first quarter 2021. And then Epiphany now with Shazer. Epiphany is going to be such an incredible resource for anyone that just has an inkling of wanting change in their life and wanting to build their own business.
Right.
And finally build the life that they want. And I've been so thankful to have a mindset shift and build the life I want when I didn't think it would actually ever be possible. So I'm really just excited to help people through that platform as well. I could think of a dozen other things I'm working on, but that's just the top 3, I guess, that came to mind.
Well, that's great because you asked earlier, do you think someone can be taught to be an entrepreneur? And, that's our show is about inspiring people to pursue their goals and reach their goals and go after their dreams. And the amount of work that you're putting into what you're doing is a good example of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. You have to keep doing this stuff over and over and over again until you get really good at it. I mean, how many songs do you write a year?
In my depressive years, probably not as many as I would normally. My song catalog is like well over 10,000 songs at this point. I would say I write at least 1,500 songs a year.
That's amazing.
But that's not to say that they're all great. We have hits, we have misses. Half of those might be trash, but I am constantly writing. That's for sure. I have 2 books out also. I put out a book earlier this year called Obvious Secrets. It's all about building and automating your business from home, just with the tools that I've discovered. So it's totally just my own lens of how you can, start and build your own business online. And then I put out a book last year called Indie Bread, How to Make 6 Figures as an Independent Musician from Home. And that's all about the tools I've discovered over the past 5 years or so to finally make good money as a creative, a music creative from home. So that's another aspect of my life I don't talk about as much, but, at some point I'd love to be a best-selling author, but that hasn't been my main focus.
Yeah. Right.
I was like the #1 book in the music business category on Amazon with Indie Bread, but I'm like, who's putting music business books out? So it wasn't that amazing, but still kind of cool.
Well, maybe it's a niche, So, how many years did it take you to start making a living at what you do?
Whew. From 12 years old to 23. So the only reason I actually started making good money finally was because I discovered a website called soundbetter.com, which is a platform where you can connect to people all over the world that need your services. And so 2015, I found that website, and through a mutual friend of mine, well, not ours, but a friend of mine, he introduced me to the website, and he said, yo, go on there and you can get people to just hire you to sing a song they wrote or to write something new for them. And so I went on immediately, because this is at the time when my mom was threatening me, like, I'm not paying your rent anymore. Sorry, you're 23. Like, you either need to go back to school or you need to just go get a job. And anyways, got on there. I put my bio up, which is riddled with credits, right? Because I've been doing music so long and I've worked with almost every major artist. And that's also a major misconception, that because you've worked with celebrities that you're rich. Yeah. Not rich. So I got on the website and I absolutely killed it, because I had mastered a skill that so many people needed. It's like the Songwriter classified, soundbetter.com. They just got acquired by Spotify last winter. And to date, I've made like almost $350,000 on that website. And nice. It's just people hitting me up needing my services. Hey, write this song for me. I need you to feature on it. That's what finally allowed me to make money, was that website alone.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have ever happened. I might have actually gotten a job, and if I worked at Nordstrom, we have a family friend that works at Nordstrom and has, she like manages the whole country or something. My mom was like, hey, you could start a career there and actually really build your life. And I'm like, that's a great job, but that's not my skill set. I just,
yeah.
I would not be happy. So yeah, praise soundbetter.com. I always tell my mentor clients, I have mentorship programs as well, and I tell them, soundbetter.com, we'll get your profile up. I'll tell you all the cheat codes, how to really succeed on there. It's all about customer service at the end of the day. My customer service was top notch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, is that service similar to what you're providing
Very
to people
cool.
now?
It definitely is. So in a way, our websites are totally different, but yeah, someone can come and basically request what they need with hard drive. But with hard drive, we're assigning the provider to the artist, meaning they don't know who they're getting that does their artwork. They do know who they're getting with an engineer. So like, I want this person to mix and master my song. They can pick that type of a thing. But yeah, in a way, it's just providing top tier talent to whatever you need. So yeah, there are some parallels there with SoundBetter and what hard drive does, for sure.
You're kind of like an online studio almost, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, not even just a studio, but I always say I want hard drive to be the first major label that's fully automated online. There's no such thing.
Oh, okay. So are you
having every department from radio, to cover artwork, all that, every department.
Will you guys actually be, producing certain artists or producing for artists? Like have artists on your label?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, we've got a bunch. I mean, we have 1,200 members, but that's a mixture of artists, producers, and songwriters, primarily artists. And yeah, they can go into our production library. They can download instrumentals. We have over 2,500 instrumentals for them to choose from for free. which is absolutely unheard of. Most producers charge minimum $100 for a beat, at least upwards of, $2,000. And
Yeah, right.
the only reason that I've been able to provide that for free is because those producers wanted to work with me, and I told them, you can work with me, but you also have to provide to my library.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you work it out where the artist gets the majority of the return for their music?
Yes.
Nice.
That's one of the biggest things that I wanted, was for them to keep creative control. We don't tell them what they need to do, what they have to do. If they do choose to distribute through us, we only keep 5% of the streaming royalty. They're also not required to upload through us. They can do it on their own. It's non-exclusive, which again is really unheard of. But a lot of companies are starting to do that because they see that independent artists want to remain in control, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's no one doing what we do. There's no company doing what we do with the customer service and the people that are actually involved. One, you're getting me. Anyone that's ever wanted to invest in hard drives has wanted to invest solely because I'm the founder, and the CEO. It's not to, do an ego thing right now, but it is because of me and my connections that it's actually really working to the degree that it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think, so like with my children, obviously they don't know what I'm doing, but I'm giving them opportunities to learn how to learn the value of money and learn a different way to do things. And so I think our education system was designed by people that needed to. So think about what Henry Ford did, right? This system where you had automation through this line
industrial
system. Yeah, but the school system basically had the same thing happen, where people designed it for a specific purpose. And so it was literally to take, one, I believe it was about childcare, getting them out of the home. But secondly, I think more specifically, it was about creating a workforce. And so there was like this plan, like, okay, we're going to create literally a nation of employees. And I think that for the most part, people are employees because that's all they know and that's all they've been taught and that's what their parents are. So I think, can it be taught? Yes. The problem is, how do you de-brainwash somebody? Most people think what we do is crazy. They love the results we have, and they think ingest. They say, "Oh, I'd love to own this. I'd love to own this. I'd love to own this." They pick the sole successful thing and say, "I'd love to own it." But what they don't see is the 99 other things that weren't successful. They don't see all the blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, the nights, the weekends, the missed, whatever else somebody else was choosing to go do, and I chose to miss it. They don't see all the stuff that goes with it. And the moment, most people, could they learn? Yes. Will they? Probably not. Most people, the moment they get a challenge, the moment they get the moment they hit a roadblock and they can't get something to work, they quit. Most people. And it's very hard, especially as people age, for them to go back and learn something new. If they're used to quitting, that's just what they do. And so if it gets too tough, they just stop. They just quit.
Yep.
They freeze. So I think if you are going to teach it, it's best to teach it early, and start while children, their brains are sponges.
Right.
I think from there, if you can teach somebody how to be an employee, I think you should be able to teach somebody how to be an owner. Now, some things I think like a naturally gifted athlete. The naturally gifted athlete's going to go further with hard work and dedication than an ungifted athlete, but a naturally gifted athlete with no work ethic will underperform one with. So, if I'm naturally gifted entrepreneur, if I just naturally am drawn to it, and I've got the work ethic, you're going to have a hard time beating me.
Yeah.
And that's not a confidence thing. It's just the reality of what it is, right?
It's true.
You just discouraged me from trying to help people in their 30s and 40s. Great.
No, it's not. You just got to be really selective about the ones you're helping. You need to, and we do this. You need to qualify them. You need to qualify them to make sure that they're willing and that they understand what it takes. Yeah. Because if they're not, why would you waste your time with them? Yeah. You're doing both of you a disservice.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I face that reality every day. for sure.
Yeah.
Every day. It's like losing my voice, screaming, not literally screaming at people. I guess it's more like mentally losing my voice. You know, trying to encourage people, especially during this time, the pandemic time. A lot of my friends that had, 9 to 5, encouraging them that they can absolutely do something because everyone knows something that someone else wants to know. Yep. It's just about organizing that and executing on a structure to something. But like you said, if it's not taught, it's really hard to, the older we get, teach that. That's just brain chemistry, and neuroplasticity is a thing, but it takes effort the same way it takes effort to learn anything new. So I feel discouraged right now, but I also feel hopeful that with the law of attraction, I will attract the people that are a little bit older that can actually change their lives and want to.
The good news is that most people have moments where they can make decisions. The bad news is they may not follow the way through, which you can't help that. But I'm going to give you an analogy, and this is not very helpful, but Planet Fitness's model, and I'm not trying to dog Planet Fitness, but their model is during New Year's, essentially, during the New Year's resolutions, they enroll 90% of their members during like a 90-day window starting in January, essentially. And the lion's share of those people will never come back to that gym. So during those temporary moments where people are going to change their lives, Planet Fitness capitalizes, and they pick a subscription model that's so inexpensive that people go, it's not worth canceling because I might want to use it. And their model is, hey, we have less wear and tear, less use in our gyms. We're going to massively grow this thing. And their company's wildly successful because of it. So just because people won't get out of their own way doesn't mean you can't be successful in what you're doing. It just means that the percentage of people you're helping that are going to help themselves is probably low, but that's not your problem. The ones that do help themselves are going to become your success stories. And that's part of the reason that such a small amount of people become successful is because most people just quit before they get there.
There are the exceptions too, like the guy that who's the guy that started McDonald's?
Oh yeah,
Ray.
Ray, not Oswald. Ray. I can't remember his name.
About the brothers, the original brothers, the guy that took it and ran.
The guy that took it and ran.
The guy that took it.
His name's Ray something. Ray, whatever his name is. The guy that started McDonald's. He was in his 50s when he started that. So
now I gotta look it up.
I saw the movie.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah, I need to watch it too. I haven't seen it. But
Ray Kroc.
Yeah, Ray Kroc.
I knew. I don't know why I missed that.
So,
but
But fortunately, you started young, so
yeah, you started young, and
we did too. Yeah,
and some people are some people are entrepreneurs and they don't even know it. Some people have that spirit, and they don't even know it. You know, and so
still have the guidance.
Yeah, they still.
Yeah.
And I say those people are rare, but for them to be rare, I feel like they're coming out of the woodwork.
Right. Well, I think technology is helping so many people pursue their passions and realize that there's more to life than just making it by, getting by.
And maybe these people that
it's everything. That's what my books are about.
Yeah, maybe the people that quit are just skeptical because there's a lot of bullshitters out there.
That's true. Yeah. And it is tough, man. It's not. Life is full of suffering.
Yeah.
And challenges.
Yeah.
It is. No one promised it wouldn't be. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, gotta just get used to it, I guess.
Part of the ride.
Yeah, pain. I sometimes the pain. I say, the pain.
It is.
The pain's part of the process. The pain is important. Like if I get hurt, I get hurt. So, and here's a funny thing, but I fell down the stairs on Sunday. My son comes up to me and he goes, yeah. My son said, hey, Dad, you're not supposed to wear socks going down the stairs, remember? And now, in my home, we have hardwoods throughout the house, and I tell the kids no socks in the house because you can fall down the stairs. I say it religiously. I always say, watch your step. I'll do all these things. Well, my feet were hurting. I'm spoiled. I like my house slippers. I had forgot my house slippers. I was like, I'll just leave my socks on. Sure enough, go to walk down the stairs, fell down the stairs. And then my son comes up with the advice that I always give him, and I'm like, you know what? The pain of that moment for me, the pain of that moment is a reminder that I already knew that what I was doing was wrong, but I chose to do it anyway. And the pain was a reminder that, hey, dummy, pay attention. You know better than to wear socks in the house full of hardwood stairs. and that's kind of like life for me. Like when I do something dumb, I don't get mad at other people. I go, hey, man, you knew better, right? Like the pain is a reminder of a bad decision.
Right.
And in some ways, I'm appreciative of it. And I think as long as you can survive it, it's good for you.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, personal opinion.
As long as you can survive it.
That's right.
Major key.
Yeah, as long as you can survive it, right? And, but that's the trick. Who knows what that is? But the pain is a deterrent, so my chances of survival should go up if I pay attention.
Right.
So who knows?
That's what we hope for.
Right.
So, as we're gonna wrap this up, guys, how can people find you? How do people? You just want to tell people how to look you up and follow you, and how to find your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on all social media as Mickey Shiloh, MICKEYSHILOH. I'm definitely on LinkedIn. My email is pretty obvious, Mickey@MickeyShiloh.com. You can go to MickeyShiloh.com. Literally everything is Mickey Shiloh. I'm very responsive. And, when people reach out to me with anything other than hi, I will respond. So hit me up. I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah. Any musicians out there that need some direction, look up Mickey. And next time we have you on, we'll fly you out.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to them.
Next time we have you on, we'll fly you out and have you in the studio with us.
And I got to tell you, you probably hate this, but
I would love that.
I'm going to have playing in the studio when you walk in, hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey, Mickey. I don't know why I've been wanting to say that for an hour.
I've never heard it. I've never heard that one, ever.
That's funny. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And if you guys enjoyed the episode, be sure.
Thank you guys. This was great.
If you guys enjoyed the episode, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.